Thank you all for being here. This is kind of a different type of Zoom and Learn than what we normally do. And of course, Valentine's Day is tomorrow. So we want to talk a little bit about relationships. And I was thinking of inviting two different people on here to be very transparent. One, though, that I started with, he wasn't able to make it, but he did send a quick video about relationships. I just want to show it real quick, and then I'll turn it over to Roy. Bear with me just a second. This is the guy that I wanted to be here to share this with you, though, on relationships.
Relationships? We don't need no stinking relationships.
So that's the video he sent. Hope you enjoyed Michael Scott with The Office real quick. But relationships, they're obviously very, very important to us. And one of the guys that's made a huge difference in my life, really, I was thinking about how long I've known Roy. I think it's almost been a decade now that I've known Roy. And he is the chaplain with the core training, which is where CJ and I both get coached from. And retired pastor, although I don't know if retired is the right word. He is still definitely much in ministry, doing a lot of good things overseas, especially. But he's not only been a chaplain in the Corps, he has been someone that has actually personally mentored myself and also CJ. We meet with Roy often and frequently, and I will just say you've made a huge impact on our life, and not just ours, but it goes down to my other kids too. But I appreciate who you are, I appreciate the example you are, and thank you for taking a few minutes to chat with some of our other friends today on recharging relationships. So Roy, I'm going to mute myself and turn it over to you. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you so much for those kind words. I always blush a little when they give me an introduction. It's stuff my daddy would have thanked you for saying and my mama would have believed. So listen, I appreciate kind words, and I thank God for you two men that I know. And we've been through some challenges together. We've had some obstacles along the way, but God's always sufficient for every situation that comes. Now, let me apologize first, because everybody usually tells me, now, I don't want you to preach when you come on these things. Okay, I'm not going to preach. But if I was going to preach, this is the stuff I would say. Now, I can't help but be energetic about this, because God called me to share the good news of Jesus Christ with the whole world. I liked it when Jonathan said I'd retired. I bet Mary would love to hear that. She just had to come up here. She packed me a lunch right here. And I got up here and I said, did I leave my lunch at home? She said, no, I gave it to you in the car. I said, well, it ain't in the car. I said, I've been out there twice to look. I left it somewhere. So she being the wife, we've been married 46 years last Monday. And so she said, well, I'm going to go look for it. She looked at the camera on the house. She said, it wasn't on top of the house when you left. I drove down the street. You didn't throw it out the window, anything. I'm going to come up there and look in the car. I said, I've looked in the car 3 times, honey. It ain't in the car. She comes walking into my door bringing the lunchbox. I said, where did you find that lunchbox? She said, it was under the front seat. I said, I didn't even know there was an under the front seat. So we still have to have each other in those kind of relationships together. Somebody asked me several times last week on the anniversary stuff. They said, what's the secret to being married 46 years? And it's really simple. Let's play a game. How many of you, anybody been married more than 10 years? 1,
Yeah.
2. How about more than 15 years? More than 20? More than 30? More, you got how many, Trip? How many years for you?
38.
Okay. Ellison, how about you?
32.
There you go. Anybody more than that? Well, it's the same secret for all of us. The number one secret is you never have a plan B. You just don't enter into it with a plan B. That works in most all of life. In your business, if you don't have a plan B, you'll be moving in the right direction. It was like rocket science when I said that to the person. But the truth is this: the world we live in is so crazy, so sinful, so ugly that it is going to try to erode and undermine every institution of society.
Sorry, what's that?
But do you realize that the oldest institution in the world is the marriage? God put Adam and Eve together in the book of Genesis in the very opening chapters. That is the oldest institution known to humanity. And it is the one that is most attacked. Now, CJ said he didn't want to talk just about marriages, but about relationships. But I don't think you can really have a relationship if you don't understand what the relationship of marriage looks like. Now, here's a lesson that I learned a long time ago, CJ. The destruction of a marriage doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time. The relationships in your business, they don't fall apart overnight. They fall apart over time. So perhaps you should, if you're going to start with your marriage in mind, then you can understand that we don't make any decisions that will compromise how much we show the person we're with that we love them. You that have people on your teams. Now, whose team are you guys on? Jonathan, answer the questions for me. Are they on your team or CJ's or what?
This group is a mixture of some of our team and then a lot of referral partners. And
Okay. So but you've got some relationship with everybody on this call?
Yep.
Okay. Now, what's the average length of the relationship?
Oh, goodness. Probably average, maybe 5 years.
Okay. So that's a pretty substantial time together. How long have you been married, Jonathan?
35.
35 years. Look at you. So the truth is, it's grown all those 35 years. You've had some challenges. You've had some obstacles. You'll have it in your business. You'll have it with your referral partners. You'll have some opposition. But if we're acting as Christian believers, then we have to always start with the word law, L-A-W. Here's what it reminds me of. Love always wins. If you can live under that law, to say nothing trumps love, and we ought to show love in everything that we do. As believers, we're not only called and commissioned to love our spouse and to love our kids and to love that, but to love one another. That's what's missing in the world today. There's bitterness and hatred and turmoil everywhere because love has gone absent. But the truth is, whatever relationships you're in, especially if it's in a marriage, if I was talking to somebody, and probably on a call this big, there's somebody struggling in that most intimate part of their life. They're struggling with you guys work so much and you put everything in front of everything else. You've already probably checked out on the things that you need to do, but it's not too late to get back into it. Every day, you and I have to, we need to protect what is most important to us. Now, I'm going to talk about how I do it with my spouse, and I'm going to help you. My theme for this year has been more in 24, M-O-R-E. I want you to be, that's the word spells out motivated, organized, relational, and empowered. Motivated, organized, relational, and empowered. In every relationship you're in, whether it's business or personal, family or extended family, if you'll learn those 4 words, that you are to be relational, so you have to be motivated to be relational. You have to be organized. Some of you guys are not organized. I can look at you and tell that. I'm telling you, some of them fly by the seat of your pants. And I don't think the two guys I know do it as bad, but they know as well sometimes you can get off track. You can get pulled astray and pulled aside by that. I work in the same building with a guy that don't never fall out of organization. Now, it's tough, but if you're not organized, especially in your relationships, they're going to fall apart. Now, I want you to understand there's a foundation of marriage. It's on the back of every one of my business cards. All people see is this. G3. G3. And what that stands for is grateful, gracious, and generous. If you can remember those 3 words in everything you do, be gracious in every word you say. Now, can you think of the last time you didn't show grace to someone? that they just pushed you in the wrong direction. I was just on a call with one of these coaches, and the girl said, I'm just in one of those places where I'm sick of humanity today. I said, how long you been there? She said, about 3 hours. I said, well, you can stay in it another hour, and then you got to get over yourself. But the truth is, she said, I'm not being gracious to people. And I said, well, here's what you do. When you have somebody that comes to your mind that's just ticking you off, say, stop for a minute and say, but what am I grateful for in that person? You cannot be ticked off and grateful at the same time. So the 3G foundation of life in every relationship is based on grace, gratitude, and generosity. Do you let the person that you're being in a relationship with, does your spouse know how grateful you are for them? Are you the one that comes home and says, man, if it wasn't for me, we wouldn't be anything? Well, your marriage is about over. Because as long as you think there's two parties in that boat, you're going to mess up. Because you're always free to row in the direction you want to go. And you'll spend yourself, some of you guys look like you've spent time in a boat out on a pond or a lake, a rowboat. What happens if you don't row in the same direction? You go in a circle. That's what so many of our relationships are doing today. They're going in a circle. So if you must look for ways that you should show grace. Now, do you know what grace is? It's not a Christian, not a religious word, but what is grace? Who would take adventure to describe it or define it for me? You can't be wrong, I promise.
So it's getting something you don't deserve.
Okay, it is giving something you don't deserve, or you receive grace when you receive something you don't deserve. That's exactly what it is. You've got people you're trying to be in a relationship. They're they're realtors, they're this, they're that, and they have mistreated you, or the lender has mistreated you. Everybody thinks they're the best way. But listen, we all need a little boost up by the people around us in our circle of influence. Begin to show grace, but also always express gratitude. How good are you guys at writing gratitude cards to people? How many of you write them on a weekly basis? 2 people. So are the rest of you just not grateful, or you just don't think about doing it? You just don't think about doing it. The truth is, a handwritten card goes a long way to make your stock go up with everybody around you. I don't care about getting a letter of the heart. I don't care about getting those things, but I love getting a handwritten note because I know the person took time to do it. And the notes that I write that go to people, I get more comments over them than over all the videos and the other stuff that I do. So learn to show gratitude and be generous. Be generous with your time. Be generous with your energy. Be generous with everything that you have. Now, what are the requirements of a good relationship? What are the requirements? Well, I'm going to spell out, I'll just give you a few words. The number one requirement for any relationship is you have to learn to have forgiveness. All of you are harboring something against somebody right now. You've got somebody that's made you angry, somebody that's made you mad, somebody that has offended you, and you could all nod your head and say, yep, I know who you're talking about. How did you know that? Well, I know it because you're a human being just like me. But if we hold on to unforgiveness, we will never have a relationship. And you know a lesson I learned a long time ago? They don't even know I'm still mad at them. It's only affecting me, not them. So if I learn every day, Jesus said, Father, forgive them. And he said in his prayer, forgive us as we forgive our debtors. Now, do you really want God to forgive you the way you forgive the other people around you? Yeah, you want a little more forgiveness than that, because you know you can harbor it. If you have no forgiveness, you'll never have a relationship. Second word I'll remind you of is you got to have faith. Forsaking all, I trust him. Faith is saying, I don't have to fix all this stuff. I don't have to fix all the world's problems. I don't have to remedy everything that comes along. I got to let go and let God. I have faith that God's bigger than me in all of this. He said a minute ago, I was retired. I spend all my time now doing this and doing ministry in West Africa. We got a group of 21 guys out on projects right now. And I'm on Zoom with them 3 or 4 times a week. And you know what I have to tell them every day is I have faith in you. I've got faith in you that you can get through this. We need you. No, you want me there. You don't need me there. You want me there, so I'll meet with you every day. But I have faith in you. I have forsaken everything else. I trust him. How many of you today can forsake something and let go of it and let God do it? You know you've got stuff like that in your life. Let it go. Thirdly, in a relationship, you got to have friendship. You know, you got to have friendship and fellowship. You got to have both of them. Now, friendship's a little easier to understand than fellowship. Friendship just means like Jonathan's hard to be a friend with because he's a Tampa Bay fan. And so we got nothing in common there.
Go Bucks.
Yeah, go Bucks. There you go. There used to be a store name here named Sears and Roebucks. But he's not that easy to be a friend with because we're aligned to something different, but he's easy to have fellowship with because fellowship is just two fellas in a ship going in the same direction. And he and I are bound together by something way stronger than the NFL. And I'm kidding about the NFL. But I mean, we're held together by something much stronger than that. And that's the tie that Jesus Christ brings. So I believe fundamentally that the key to any relationship, any friendship, any fellowship is the relationship that you have with the Lord Jesus Christ. If you don't know him, you need to meet him. You need to surrender authority over to him and just say, that I know I can't get through this by myself. I need a higher power than me. Somebody will say, well, I don't believe in God. It doesn't matter. That doesn't offend him a bit. He's still God. You know, if you come to the end of your life and you find out you were right, that there was no God, I'm not out anything. I just die. But if I come to the end of my life and realize and find out there is a God and we hadn't surrendered to him, we're out everything. You've got to have your life built upon a foundation, and there's only one foundation that really, really lasts forever, and that's eternal. So you got to have forgiveness, you got to have faith, you got to have friendship, you got to have fellowship, you got to have look to the future. Your friendships and relationships are going to be based on your finances, but also on your fidelity, that you're loyal to the person you're with. Now, that's not just in marriages. It's not just about sex. Fidelity is not having a divided heart. Some of you have a divided heart, I'll almost guarantee you. You're drawn in two or three directions. You want to put a work cap on at work, take it off and go do this at another time. And sometimes they conflict with each other and they get drawn apart. Your heart's got to remain faithful to your foundation. But now he also wanted me to talk about how do we elevate the people that are most important in our life. Now, this is where I'll prove to you I'm a Baptist preacher. I'm going to spell the word elevate out. If you want to elevate your spouse or your significant other or your business partners, number one, you must encourage them. Now, what did Mary do when she said, I know you didn't lose your lunchbox? Now, I felt like a fool when she came walking in with it because I'd been out there 2 times looking for it in the car. I didn't know there was a spot under the front seat. She comes walking in with, well, what she had done was to encourage me. Now, what did I do when she got here? I thanked her back and I said, baby, I couldn't do anything without you. Every one of you that are married, don't you want to hear some words of encouragement from your spouse occasionally? Don't you want to hear something you're doing well? Well, the truth is they want to hear that as well. So encourage them. But secondly, you have to love them. Love is not just, erotic kind of conversation. It is an undivided heart. It is a heart that is completely loyal to her. We've been married 46 years. I told Mary when we got married, baby, you can leave anytime you want, but I'm going with you. And that's how we've stayed together. I've never thought about leaving because I made an oath and a commitment to God and to her that it was till death do us part. So love those people in that relationship. Thirdly, though, engage with them. One of the problems some of you have is you're really bad listeners. Now, how can I say that to you and I've never met you? Well, I've met two of you, and I imagine it trickles down to all of you. We're not great listeners. We like to be talkers. We like to say the things that need to be done. We love to do those things, but you really can't lead anybody till you've engaged with them and listened to them. Here's what I've tried to do, and I've tried to teach to others in this building, Jonathan. You got to learn to praise in public and pound in private. I do that with my guys in Africa. When they're in a public meeting with me, I'm going to do nothing but praise them. When I get on a one-on-one call with them, I go, now that was stupid what you did. You better not do that again. Here's the problem it's going to cause. But what good does it do to run them down in public? So learn to engage with them by listening to them because you value them. Every relationship in your life and every relationship that people have with you in your life, they're looking for some value that it brings them. You know, I need these guys to be with us on Wednesday night on the Bible study. I value having them there. I think they would tell you when they're there that they have value in what they receive from that. We have to value the people that are that we're trying to elevate. We also have to affirm them. Why is it so hard to affirm the people around you? CJ, let me pick on you. Why is it hard to affirm people?
What do you mean by that?
To point out the good things in
them? I think because oftentimes I'm not looking for the good things in them, so it's tough for me to.
That's it exactly. We get what we go looking for. In every relationship, you get what you go looking for. Set your targets higher. Set your targets more concise. I'm after this one thing, and that will blossom into something else. You tell me somebody that's not affirmed won't feel elevated by you. You have within you the power to do that with every single person. Then next to last word, we have to trust them. So if we encourage, love, engage, value, affirm, and trust them, I mean, trust them. I got nothing I don't trust Mary about. I got nothing. And she's got nothing she doesn't trust me with. You just say, and the only way you can ever do that is just tell the same story the whole time. Don't change your target. Some of you fall in and out of relationships because you change the road you're on, you change the target you're on, and things like that. And then finally, and this is the key, you got to enjoy them. You got to come to the place that your greatest joy is in spending with those you love. When you have time off for the weekend, you know, my least favorite thing to do is go to a stinking mall. I don't love that at all, but Mary loves it. So I made up my mind 4 or 5 years ago, anytime you want to go to that mall down there, I'll go with you. Because I believe somebody's listened to all us husbands because they got chairs everywhere now. And say, baby, there's 4 stores right here you want to look at. And every shirt you're looking at looks the same to me. I'm going to be sitting right out here talking to somebody. She says, I never come back. You're not engaged with a conversation with somebody. And I said, listen, we'll go to the next set of seats and do it. But the truth is, I enjoy being there with her, even if I don't like them all. Now, the one thing we do together to really enjoy each other, I'm giving you the secret to marriage. Men, you got to go get manicures and pedicures with your wife. It's the greatest thing. You men turn up your nose. You won't if you ever go. It's the best thing in the world. It's the same little lady does mine. Mary's sitting over beside me. She said, look how happy he is. I said, baby, I'm just happy to be here with you. She said, you don't smile that much at home. I said, you don't rub my feet at home. But find something you can do together to enjoy them. And I believe if you do that, you'll be elevating the people that are most important in your life. Now, does that make sense to you? You got questions for me? You got comments or anything?
How do you show somebody you forgive them?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
How do you show somebody you forgive them?
Well, it starts with forgiving them.
Okay.
I mean, that's a decision in the heart. You got to not bring up anything from the past. You can't bring it up. And if they bring it up, you got to go, I'm not sure what you're talking about. That's behind us. I mean, how does God show you he forgives you?
He forgets about it.
Well, he does, but how does he show you? By his word.
Right word.
So our word has to be our bond. You know, Daddy, I have forgiven you. That none of that matters anymore. Scripture says sins are put as far as the east is from the west. Now, you've all heard that expression. Why didn't he say as far as the north is from the south? Well, I'll tell you, you start traveling north, you go far enough, you'll be heading south again. North and south intersect at the poles. East and west never intersect. You start walking east around the world, you won't ever be heading west. You'll just be going east. That's how completely he puts it out of sight. So I think it's based on your word, CJ.
I have a question.
Okay.
As far as relationships, I know a lot of people get hurt or wounded, and then that relationship is done or seems to be, but they get burned and hurt, and so they have like brick walls for new relationships, or just feel out of fear that they can't build new relationships. What do you have for those people?
Okay, I'll tell you, anytime fear creeps in, it's not from God. Any fear, I remember fear this way. Again, I'm a preacher. I remember faulty evidence appearing real. It's not truth. I mean, remember those accusations. Satan is the accuser of the brethren. God will never accuse you of anything. When fear creeps in, it's because you're not letting faith reign in your life. Remember faith, forsaking all, I trust him. So, you're making a decision, or that person is making a decision to choose to operate out of fear because it's more comfortable. Because they might get burned again. You might. But the truth is, if I'm living under the lordship of Christ, I'm not worrying about I might get burned again. Think how many times we let God down every day. But he's still there for us, fresh saying in the morning. Okay, anybody else? Well, CJ and Jonathan, I hope it met the needs of what you had.
Absolutely. I think probably the first time I ever heard Roy speak, he talked about G3, and I'm just going to circle back to that a second, because I think if you don't get anything else, G3 is amazing because it goes with every relationship. It goes with everything we do in life. But just a quick little review of that. The first G is being grateful for others or showing gratitude. The second is being gracious. And then lastly, it's being generous. I mean, if we do that, just those three things with everyone we have in our life, whether it's a spouse or significant other or a referral partner or a client, I really believe the relationships will all be recharged that we're talking about. But that's so much good stuff in today's talk, Roy. Thank you so much for being here. Real quick, Roy's got a YouTube channel. How can they find you on YouTube if they'd like to, Roy?
Do I know how to do that? Let's see. My address is, you never look at your own channel. Dashboard.
If you look at Dr. Roy Mason, they can find it.
Okay, is that what it is? I don't know how to see what the.
Well, subscribe to it. He puts out a video Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays that are very encouraging. But you said CJ, Dr. Roy Mason on YouTube. Just look for that.
Yeah, Dr. Roy Mason.
Okay.
Yeah, and subscribe to that. That makes a difference for us. YouTube likes us more as we get more subscribers. And we've got a ministry that's funded completely by the free will offerings of people. If God ever moves on your heart to help us that way, that means something as well. But I don't do this to get the money. I trust God to supply the money. And I would love to have you on, subscribe to YouTube. That'd make a difference. If you want to get on our mailing list as far as getting the videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, if you'll just send me, my email address is rdmgem@gmail.com. RDMGEM is Global Evangelism Ministries @gmail.com, and say, I want to be added to your weekly videos, and I'll put you on that list as well.
Cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you have a great rest of the week. Thank you, Roy.
Yes, sir. See, I got to run to another meeting.
All right.
Take care.